Hi there and welcome to the fourth video of the Chrome extension series. So far we have finished creating the first three widgets, which are the time component, the greeting component, and the weather app. And in this video we're going to tack on the crypto app, which as you can see takes in a couple of inputs: coin or the cryptocurrency, and the actual physical currency, which could be US dollar, for example. Then clicking fetch, it's just going to return the current crypto rate. So we're going to use the Coinstats API, which will serve us with real-time cryptocurrency rates. All right, let's get started. So in the last lesson we left at this app, we finished the weather app. Now let's just comment this and focus on the new one. So let's create a new folder for the new app. I'm going to call it crypto, and I'm going to make a couple of files as always, JavaScript and CSS. Okay, so let's go ahead and create our component, and then I'm going to call it crypto as always. And then here I'm just going to speed up the process of creating the set of elements with the emmet. So I'm going to say crypto card, and it's going to have a heading, crypto heading. Now the first thing you want to do is to change that to React. It's going to have a selections div. It's going to have a couple of inputs. This is going to have a class name called btn input. Like I said, we're going to have a couple of them, and we're going to have a button, a class btn fetch. Alright, underneath that we're going to have the coin rate div, which is going to have the logo. It's going to be coin logo, and finally it's going to have a couple of span elements which will hold the actual coin value. Alright, format these things. This is going to be div with a class name called coin rate. Okay, save, say here crypto rates, and this is going to be called a fetch. Alright, let's save it. Okay, I'll have some import it here. So crypto. There you have it. Awesome. So I'm just going to add a line break here. Alright, so these couple of inputs should have a button type. So here I'm just going to say button. Okay, they're going now. So they're going to have a value as well. Here I'm just going to say value. Now the first one is going to be for the coin, so I'm just going to say Bitcoin, and that one is for the currency, which I'm going to call US dollar. I'm just going to add another class for which it's going to be btn coin, and that one btn currency. Okay, now let's just skip this selections div, and I'm gonna focus a little bit on this coin rate div. I'm gonna need to see the coin selected equals to the coin value, to the current coin value. So here I'm just going to say the coin, and here I'm going to say coin value. Alright, there we go. So now that we have prepared some minimal skeleton, let's go ahead and start extracting some data from the API. So the first thing we need to do is to bring in the API URL and the endpoint that we're going to use. So right here, outside of this component, I'm just going to say const base URL is equal to this one. You can see it's the Coinstats API. Now let's create the main function that'll handle our request. Before we go further, we're just going to keep it simple. I'm just going to hard code the query parameters and make a quick fetch to see the result. And here I'm just going to say const show coin value. I'm going to say, I'm going to use fetch as always. And I'm going to say the base URL plus coin that we're going to use, and the currency, which is going to be the US dollar. Make sure this is in uppercase. Then we're going to take this response and I'm going to first log it. And I'm just going to parse it with JSON. Then, since JSON method is going to return a promise, we're going to need another .then block. I'm just going to get the data and I'm going to log it here, okay? And then at the end, we're going to catch errors if there are any. Alright, now we need an event handler to run this function. So whenever, for instance, we click on that button, we're just gonna show the coin value. Okay, I'll save it, refresh, inspect, click fetch, and there we go. We have now got a response. Gives us the coin selected, which is Bitcoin, and the price in US dollar. Okay, so the Bitcoin currency USD part is just gonna vary based on the selected coin and currency. Let me show you something. Now if I set both the coin and the currency to empty values, for instance, set this to empty and this as well, and refetch again, we don't get the same response. Here we just got the coin response, the coin price, but here we get the whole new array, which returns all of the available coins. This is different. This is not what we were looking for. So I'm going to create a couple of hooks to set these variables. So here I'm just going to say const choose coin, and I'm going to say use state, and it's going to be empty. And we're going to do the same thing with the currency. Alright. Okay. Now in JSX we already have created these inputs and set their values to Bitcoin and US dollar. And by the way, these values are fixed, so we don't need to handle the onChange attribute. But instead we're just gonna cater for on-click events. So here I'm gonna say on-click. I'm just gonna take this event and I'm gonna set choose coin e to the value that's being typed in this target. Got some typo here. I'm just gonna duplicate this and do the same thing with this one, and we're gonna say set currency. Alright, now if we try to log each input value in its on-click handler, right here, we won't see it because set state is asynchronous, so it's going to take some time before it actually sets the state to the given value. But we can see it somewhere else, so maybe in this function. So here we can just say log choose coin, and I'm going to do the same thing with the currency. We'll save that, refresh here, so I clicked this and this, gonna fetch. We get both of them right here, and the URL is doing the right job, so it's returning the Bitcoin value in dollar. So we're gonna use those couple things and we're gonna concatenate both of them. So we're gonna put one here, the coin, and the second one is gonna be this one. Okay, so back inside here, I'm gonna leave this part and I'm gonna get rid of those couple things. Alright, so here what I'm gonna say is choose coin, and then here I'm gonna add the currency. Okay, save, refresh, Bitcoin, US dollar, fetch, and it returns the same result. Cool. Now let's try adding more coins and currencies. So I'm just gonna duplicate this a couple times, and here it's gonna be Ethereum, and this one Litecoin, and I'll do the same thing with the currencies. Add a couple more currencies. This is gonna be Euro, and this is Great Britain Pound. And again, make sure they are in uppercase. So if I save, and we get them. If I click Bitcoin, US dollar, we're gonna get this. If I click Ethereum, we're gonna get that, which is Ethereum. Cool. So this works fine. Now, I don't suppose you're gonna leave these inputs just like that. That's right, we won't. Imagine having like 20 types of coins and maybe 50 currencies. It doesn't really make sense. So we're going to create a couple of arrays to hold those coins and currencies values. So we're going to create these couple of arrays and we're going to loop through both of them and render an input tag for each item. So the first one is going to be the currencies, and it's going to be simply US dollar, euro, and GBP. Cool. The second one is for the coins. And this is gonna take a little more time. It's gonna have a set of 3 objects, and the first property of each object is gonna be an ID, which in turn is simply gonna be the coin name, and it's gonna have a symbol that's gonna be like that, BTC. Okay, a couple more of this, and this is gonna be Ethereum. Alright, and this is gonna be the Litecoin. Cool. By the way, if we wanted to work with a larger list, we could have put them in a separate file, or maybe created an API and invoke it from which we can extract the requested information. Although the API we're going to use today does include these types of data, but we don't want to make unnecessary calls because we just have 3 items in our case. So for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to go and work with this small set. Okay, now back inside the selections div here, I'm just going to get rid of those newly added inputs. Okay, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to first take the coins array and I'm going to map through it. Like I said, I'm going to take each coin, I'm going to then return this thing. So right here, the value now is no more this fixed one, but instead it's going to be the coin dot ID. Okay, let's try saving this and see what happens here. We've got a problem here. Each child in a list should have a unique key prop, and this is like the default behavior of the map method. So each item should have a unique identifier, so it's called the key prop. And what I'm going to say, key, and I'm going to just say coin.id, because each coin has a different name, which is this ID. Alright, now if I save this, refresh, it's gone. And then we're going to do the exact same thing with the currencies. We're going to take the currency, and then we're going to return the same thing as well. Alright, that should be it. Okay, again, the key. Cool. Okay, that was fine. Okay, it's alright, it's working, but I think we no more need that event and target value here. So I'm going to get rid of that. I'm just going to pass in the coin.id instead, and we don't need this. And here I'm going to do the exact same thing, and this is going to take the currency. Okay, if I save it, refresh, yes, it does the same job, but I'm just going to replace that with the symbol instead. The value this time is going to be the symbol. Okay, that looks better. Even if I click it now, it doesn't affect the search because we have set the choose coin to the ID and not the symbol. Alright, good so far? Now let's render that price value in the coin span right here, the coin value span. This is going to hold the actual value of this this thing. So let me just log it here. I'm going to say coin.price. Save it, fetch again, and get it here. Good. So I'm going to first create a hook here, and I'm going to call it coin value. Set coin value. And it's going to be empty. Alright, and then here, this is going to be the actual coin value here. Okay, and then underneath that, we're just going to set the coin value to this price, data.coin.price. Save it, fresh. There you have it. Now let's just round this number. We're going to say post value is equal to math.round, and we're going to pass in this one, data.coin.price. And then here, we're going to pass the value instead. Fresh. There you go. That's better. Now let's tweak this coin rate section a little bit more. So this one is going to be the choose coin. It's going to be equal to the coin value. So here, this is going to be choose coin, and it's going to be equal coin value. Okay, if I say Bitcoin, US dollar, there you go. Let's make a bit of space here, and we're going to handle this. I'm going to add this space later on. Alright, now let's add the styles file. So I'm just going to copy and paste it right here. I'm just going to talk about it a little bit so we can see what's going on. So we have imported this Nova Square font, and this is the crypto card. It has a kind of square widget, black background, round corners, some padding, and this is the crypto heading. We just wanted to make the coin rate uppercase in case we didn't. Then we got this BTN input, bit of large font size, some padding, no border, bit of spacing between letters, and this is the BTN coin, and this is the BTN fetch. Pretty simple, straightforward. And the coin rate has a flex display, everything centered, got some padding, margin, background white, letter spacing, and then this is the coin logo. It's going to have a transparent background, a small size. And finally, we're going to add the heading if the search failed with these styles. So let's save this and import it here. crypto.css. Save it. There we go. But the coin's color is gone. I think this is related to this one. Comment this. There we go, now we can see it. But we're going to reset this back to white because we're going to change the background of these coins so they look just like that. Okay? Now if I try to fetch, for example, this one, and if I change to euro, yeah, we get them, but we don't get the currency sign here. I want to add this for this price. Okay? So right here, I'm going to make a simple check. So I'm going to add another span, and inside it, I'm going to take the currency and see if it's equal to, for example, GBP. If that's the case, then we're gonna put pound. Sorry about that. If it's not, I'm gonna check the currency again and see if it's euro this time. Then this is gonna be euro. If that's not the case, we're gonna just set it to dollar. Alright, let's save that. If I click US dollar, it's US dollar. If I click euro, euro. There we go. Now another cool thing we can add is the logo. So I have this small image folder. It's got 3 images, 1 for each coin. So you can get them from the GitHub repository, link in the description. Once you have the images, create a folder in your app, in the public folder here. Then right here at the coin logo, we're just going to specify the path to each coin. So what I'm going to do, this is going to be coin logo, and then here, so I'm going to say images slash, and then we're going to pass in the choosed coin plus .svg. If I save that, refresh, say Bitcoin, get the Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. Cool. Now we're going to need to change these coins background according to the color of the icon. So remember that currency symbols check we did? That one? I'm going to do something pretty similar, but this time with the coins background. So here, I'm just going to say style, and then we're going to set the background and see if the coin.id is equal to Bitcoin. And this is going to be the Bitcoin color, which is F7931A. If that's not the case, we're going to see if the coin.id is Ethereum. Then we're going to say this color, HC. Else, we're just going to put the Litecoin color, which is bluish. Alright, I'll save that. There we go. Now, reset this back to white. So that looks better. But a more concise solution of doing these coins colors could be, like I said a while ago, the coins data could come from an API, and from this API we can have each coin properties wrapped in an object that could contain an image, text color, background, etc., whereby we can put them as children and properties of the input tag, which in turn could be a separate component. That way your app gets more scalable and modular thanks to that reusable component. But again, we're not building an e-commerce solution or something that scale, so I think we're good with the current situation. Now if I switch between the coins or the currencies like that, let's say we wanted the current price of Bitcoin in dollars. If I change to euro, the price is still there, but it's in dollars. And even if I change Ethereum, imagine Ethereum this time with 30,000 euros. So I'm gonna need to clear the value once we changed any of the 6 inputs right here. So once we click on an input, we're gonna need to reset the coin to empty. So I'll say set coin value to empty, and I'm just gonna take this and do the same thing right here. Alright, if I set it, fresh Bitcoin in dollars, if I change Ethereum, it's gone. Cool. If I change the currency, it gets cleared. So that's working properly at this point. Alright, so sometimes when you try to display the coin value, you may have to wait some time due to slow internet speed, for instance. So whenever this happens, we want to see something telling us that the request was sent, but we should wait for the response. So it'll be good if we add a simple loader or a loading message. So I'm gonna do that with a 3-dot span. So I'm gonna go back here and add another hook here, which is gonna be called loading coin value. Use state, and this time this is gonna be set to false, so it's gonna be a boolean. Then in the coin rate here, I'm gonna see if the response is loading, and if it's true, we render the span element with 3 dots as a loader. So here, what I'm gonna say, if the coin value is loading, then we're gonna render that. I'm gonna say 3 dots. So we've set that to false as a initial value here. So let's handle that in a function here. So once we click the button, these 3 dots should be shown. So here we're gonna set loading coin value to true. And once we finished setting the coin value, we're gonna remove these 3 dots. So before we set the coins, I'm gonna need to set loading coin value to false, so we don't see it. Now let's see that in action. We'll say Bitcoin, US dollar, fetch, and you can see it just blink and it's gone. So let me show that with a mid-tier mobile so we can feel the hassle. Refresh. Okay, Bitcoin, US dollar, fetch, and now you can see it. Cool. All right, I guess we're done. But one last thing could happen sometimes, which is the problem with response errors, which could be 404 or that sort of thing. So before we turn the response into JSON, we need to figure out if that response is the one we're looking for or not, successful or not. So before we say res.json here, we're going to need to check the response status. If it's successful, it's going to be 200, then we can move on. Otherwise, we log that status code, see what's going on, and tell the user we're having trouble responding to a request. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say if res.status is not equal to 200, then we're going to simply say console.log there is an error, and then I'm going to log in the status. Okay, and at this point we shouldn't keep the loader loading here, so I'm going to set loading coin value to false as well, because we're not going to get into this block. If this is 200, then we're not going to get into there. Okay, let's save this, refresh, but let's just make a for example a typo here to see that. So then Bitcoin, US dollar, fetch, there we go, we get an error. We can see it's 404 here, but we don't want to resume the rest of the code. So at this point, what we can do here, I'm just going to say return so we can escape this function. Okay, refresh here, fetch, so we don't get that promise error. Okay, but this gets shown only to us, not the user. The user needs something right here that tells him that we're having trouble. So one last hook could save our lives. So here I'm going to say const, and I'm going to say coin search failed. It's going to be equal to use state and set it to false. And then underneath this button, what I'm going to do, we're going to decide whether we should display that message of response error or simply show the coin value. So here I'm just going to say if coin search has failed, then I'm going to show a simple message that says couldn't find data, please try again. Okay, and I'm just going to give this a class name of search failed. Alright, now when the search is going to fail, well, it's going to fail right here. So when we're in this block, what I'm going to say, set coin search failed to true. Alright, and another place is right here as well. In this catch block, I'm going to say set coin search to true. Alright, let's save it, refresh. There we go, now we get it. So what if we fix this and try again? So we get the value, but the coin search failed is still here. So once we click again here and the data is coming correctly this time, right here before we get into this res.json, we're going to set the coin search failed to false. This is going to be fixed this time. So if we fetch again, it's gone. Cool. Now if the errors come again, let's say we do have a typo this time, like fetch, so we get that error message, but the value of the coin is still here. So I'm going to need to make a cleanup of these things. So what I'm going to do right here, I'm just going to say set coin value empty, and it should be also set right here. Fetch again, there we go, it's gone. Cool. I'm just gonna fix this public. There you go. Let me add a bit of space here and here. So where is it? Yeah, before this one, I'm just gonna say non-breaking space here, and I think right here as well, we're just gonna have a non-breaking space. Save this, that's better. All right, I think we're done. That's it. So let's check this Crypto app. So we're good with that. Thank you guys for sticking with me. Hope you learned something useful today. See you in the next app, which is the to-do list. This one.